far behind. Beyond fear, beyond pain, there's a reason to live again. Beyond fear, beyond pain, there's a reason to live again. Come away from the sound into quiet and discover the magic within. You only need to see with faith and love inside, a point of light that reaches out to guide you through the night. True love waits in silent space, in hearts not bound by walls. Seek the one who never leaves your side and heals your wounded soul. Beyond fear, beyond pain, there's a reason to live again. Beyond fear, beyond pain, there's a reason to live again. Come away from the sound into quiet and discover the magic within. True love waits in silent space, in hearts not bound by walls. Seek the one who
Om Shanti. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Those who are joining us online and those who have made the wonderful effort to join us in person.
Om Shanti.
Shanti, am I audible? Okay.
Yes, very clear.
Yes, we hear you.
As we all know that we have a national tragedy which is still ongoing. So today the insight session will be for an hour, and the last half an hour we will be dedicating that meditation, our good wishes, pure feeling, and the divine's power for all those who are affected, the family, the victim, everybody involved in this rescue moment. Yeah. And it's very interesting. The topic for today is fearless encounters. So there's so many things that we face, but how do I face them? Do I face them with fear, anxiety? Do I face them? Well, I have no other choice but to face. So how do I encounter situation, challenges, problems? Do I do it with a smile? Do I do it staying in by dignity? Isn't that nice to stay in our own dignity, in our self-respect, and from that space, we go through situation unaffected, uninfluenced by it. So today we have Brother Mahendra Chand, who has been practicing Raj Yoga for more than 25 years. He also has a business background, a science background. So it's a good blend of spirituality, science, and business. And he is in place where there are challenges every day. I'm sure all of us get one or the other challenge as well. So he'll share with us some practical tools, some methodology, things and insights that has worked for him and that we could benefit from. Right? So not taking too long, welcome Brother Mahendra, and over to you.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Sister Kinnari.
Shanti.
And good evening to everyone,
Good evening.
especially those who are here, who have made the effort to be here, and also my good friends on Zoom. It's always wonderful to have you here, whether in person or online. And as Sister Kinnari was saying, these programs were planned in advance. And this topic was chosen some time ago, like a month ago or so, and suddenly something happens in our country, which the need arises for us to face such a situation. And when I first thought of this topic, fearless encounters, I was thinking about the physical battles that you have to face. Sometimes when you think of encounters and fearless encounters, you think of more of the Middle Ages, the stories of myth or mythology, where prince would go to battle the demons or the monsters, or kings will take their armies, brave warriors, brave kings to go and fight battles where these are like huge battles. And sometimes like stories like David and Goliath, the adversaries are much bigger, and you have to be so brave to go, with a story like David and Goliath, just a little boy fighting a giant. And so this has extended now beyond the actual physical battle to spiritual battle. What are we really battling? So these are stories of myth, no doubt, but it's more like what we're facing today, but has been put into a format of stories. And so these demons actually are what I would think is the vices, which would include fears and ego, attachment. Those are the two main ones. Of course, there's greed and lust and anger and desires, which will also fit in. So, fearless encounters. What are our biggest fears? What really are our fears? Would anyone like to say anything about that? What are our fears? What are your personal fears?
Probably not being able to make, not being able,
Not on.
probably not being able to make a difference in the world.
That's a fear
Yeah.
of not making a difference
in the world.
I didn't expect that one.
I would probably say snakes.
Oh, that's very common. Anyone online would like to share? What are your fears?
Being attacked, being with the different stuff that we are going through. So it's like you're fearful of that, like being on the subway or something like that. That's the most
Being
fear
on-
that I have.
being
On the subway, the trains, like
being on the subway. Okay.
Right. Thank you.
That's a physical fear you have there, right?
Yes.
Of humans attacking you. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, because you can't get anyone as you're going to be discussing. People get upset very fast, get annoyed
Mm.
very fast, get angry very fast.
Mm.
So you don't know the attack of what they will do.
Mm.
Shanti.
My biggest fears would be probably not fulfilling my purpose here or
Mm.
reaching according to Maslow, oh my God. According to Maslow hierarchy of self-need.
Maslow.
Yes, not reaching that.
Uh-huh.
So
The highest self-actualization.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Very unique here.
The two of them, yes. Oh,
Being of value to the
the value of the world. So it's something similar because self-actualization is like reaching the peak of perfection, of actually having a value to your life that you have served your purpose in this world.
And I was saying, I think that fear comes with the responsibility because I can stay as I am and it can just be for me. But now, like Spider-Man said, with great powers come great responsibility. So I would say that is something I'm working on.
The self-actualization.
Yeah.
So have you finished the 4?
The 4,
Well, the hierarchy.
I need to go and do all go back to it.
Mm.
But I'm not at the peak. But I'm not where I was. I need to go and reevaluate to see where exactly on that I am.
Well, that's the main idea, to reevaluate yourself and to move
Yeah.
beyond. So that's a unique fear, actually. And the one where you say, not fulfilling your purpose. But what really is your purpose? That you have a fear.
You see, I haven't found my purposes yet, so I have to find it and then be able to. So the fear comes from not knowing what my purpose is as yet.
Oh, that's a huge difference. Not knowing what your purpose is. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So you're working on it.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else on the line would like to share what their fear is?
The fear of losing a loved one, or the
Come on.
fear of my own death.
Mm-hmm. Actually, that's the one I was going to talk about. My own death. Yes.
Om Shanti. I
Om
think it's
Shanti.
not, it's for me, it's not a fear of death itself, but how I will die.
That's my part
Yeah.
too.
Right. Because that we have understood it's something that must happen as long as you
Yes.
take birth, that is there. And when it comes, you accept it, but how the process of dying, how we will get to that.
Yeah.
Om Shanti.
Have you ever had or visualized an experience of leaving your body?
I always thought of it to be a nice one in my sleep.
I see. What about when you're
Because that's what I
traveling? You can
want.
be in an
If I can sleep in
accident
my
or so.
No, if I can live in my body in my sleep, that's the best way I think, best that I can visualize. So I don't visualize anything negative or anything that I don't want happen. I just visualize that one. I even started it with my mother. When my mother was old, I said, okay, I wish she will die in her sleep. And that there would be no drama or whatever. But so I don't go into the negative part of it. I just visualize that.
Well, we all have that desire, to just sit down somewhere peacefully and leave our body. Yes, brother.
Om Shanti. I don't know if my contribution is with the topic dead, but let me make it very clean and clear. I like truth. Once I know the truth, truth never die, and it can never die. Truth is light, light is energy, cannot be destroyed. No. If there's any fear, I would like the human world to recognize and realize this truth. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti,
Okay,
brother.
anyone else online would like to
Om
share
Shanti,
what
yeah.
their
Om
fear?
Shanti, brother.
Shanti.
Could I go ahead? My fear really
Yeah.
is destruction. You know, sometimes Baba comes out and tell us how destruction will be, what it will be like, and sometimes I'm trying my best to handle that part of it, because at the end we all know we have to leave body and go. But this part, when Baba comes and speaks in Murli and tell us how it will be like at the end, that is a little fear for me. So I am working on that. Om Shanti.
I guess we all are. I know it's going to be a very fearful scene, but if we practice over a period of time, that can actually go. But we can look at the more little things rather than that one, and then we can build up to that level. So, anyone else would like to share before I move on?
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Mm-hmm.
You know, when one, for instance, my biggest fear is when I'm faced with tasks that should be completed at a specific time factor. If it is not achieved in that time factor, the fear that takes over me is in the form of like confusion, frustration, being irritable, sweaty with perspiration. These are the different emotions which have experienced this to understand that even though one will be faced with fear, what does it do to the physical as well as to the mental state? And things that are inevitable, like death and all those things, they happen. I've had the experience of facing death in my hands and facing experiences which people died in that experience. But after a while, that doesn't really bring a fear in the self, but it makes one to be able to face obstacles. But the fear is to experience what it does to the physical. It creates perspiration, nervousness, confusion, irritable. It could breed to anger. Now, that's the biggest fear that I have experienced. And over time, with knowledge, I've been able to, smooth that part out and induce calmness and being precise. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Terry. That I can really empathize with, because even when you were, saying what you're saying, I agree with you, because I would have gone through similar situations, and that also is a sort of a fear, not being able to accomplish certain tasks. So we are having very fear from different angles, their own definition. Anyone else would like to share? Sister Alicia, you have any fear? We're dealing with.
In the chat, somebody said fear of failure.
Fear of failure. Okay.
Om Shanti, may I share?
Fear of failure. Fear of being in a spotlight like what I am right now. Used to be, but I have put that aside a long time ago, and I do enjoy not to be in the spotlight, but if I am given a task to be in front, it doesn't bother me anymore. Most of us have that fear.
Yeah, it's an interesting point to bring that. Be upfront. If I said that I don't like to be upfront, I don't like just advertisement kind of thing or just advertise kind of thing, is fair?
If you don't, If you don't like to be in front, huh?
Is this a fear?
In a way, it is, but you don't. Some people are very reserved. So yeah, it's more. But sometimes you're very reserved and you don't like to be noticed. Sometimes it's not really a fear. It's just that it's your personality.
Acha.
Om Shanti, may I share?
Yes, go ahead.
Om Shanti, for me, my fear is getting older, the aging process, and if there is illness that becomes part of that aging process while living alone. Thank
Okay.
you, Om Shanti.
The one with aging, it's okay, but the one of losing like limbs and having a illness where you can't take care of yourself, that one is certainly a fear. But aging, it's a natural process. So all of you would have mentioned some aspect of fear, and how is that fear connected to what?
The fear of losing something.
The fear of losing something, and that losing, how is it connected?
Is
What
that
is
true?
causing this fear?
Because of body consciousness?
That's right. Because of being conscious of your body.
Insecurities.
Yeah. It has to deal with the body.
Attachment.
But with the body, right? So if we understand that we are a separate entity, we won't have that fear. Yes.
Shadow.
The shadow?
Shadow of the body. Fear. It's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So how do these fears come about? It has to be connected to the body, because if you check each one, it's a personality that is being revealed, a fear of your projection, your perception, all these things. It's all connected to the body. Now, how does this fear really start? If you check from childhood, when you're they say that children are innocent. And so there is no fear when you're a little baby. I don't know from where this fear starts, but as you grew up, you're growing up, it starts to manifest itself. And there is some point when the first fear is of doing something wrong, and the repercussion then of that fear, but most likely your parents or your oldest siblings, if you have done something wrong, there's a fear of being punished. So that's where it actually starts. And so, as I said, everything deals with the body. Of course, a child is said to be innocent, but somehow he or she knows that there is something wrong is being done. So it starts from childhood. Then as we grow older, there are things like with someone mentioned insecurities and fear of failure. So at the time of probably grade 6, that's when you're about 10, you're entering your teenage years. I think it becomes bigger, the fear. I know in the Guyana situation, what we call a SSE examination, the common entrance, commonly called the common entrance examination. This is now dealing with school life and to grow academically. If you don't do well at that examination, that's where, to me, like a lot of fear is developed, because your parents have, and this is expectations now, expectations of not doing well. So fears develop that you don't pass or pass with the right amount of marks. Then also competition comes into place. You didn't do well as your colleagues, and you're expected to do better. So fear steps there again. And then as you go, get a little bigger, then of course in fifth form or SSC, in this case here, in some other countries, examinations will be different, different levels. And so that fear actually starts at this point. Then, you know, there are other fears, of course, fear that you don't meet your parents' expectation in terms of your personality traits. You know, parents, they make sure and they expect them to live a kind of not perfect life, but well-behaved, disciplined, and so because you cannot fit in to that category, well, not all will be fearful. Some become fearless and defiant. But I'm looking at the more positive aspects here. And somehow you don't fit into that category, you know, fear again develops. And so along with insecurities, someone mentioned, I can't remember what's the exact thing they mentioned. You know, competition starts and you cannot face the competition. And then Brother Terry spoke about deadlines. And so when you step out into the world of work now, more fear. I can recall going to job interviews, and it's not like now. When you, my first job was as a teacher, and I went to about 5 interviews, because in those days it was very hard to secure a job, a proper job, because the jobs were limited. And so there was a fear of not passing the interview. You fear the interviewers, the interview fear the interviewers. And so this is the stepping stage of fears. All the while, you're developing fears of not passing your interview. You know, these days when you go, employers are very willing to see you turn up for an interview. So it's like you're guaranteed a job. Even when I step into the commercial aspect, when I started another job, there were about another 4 interviews I had to go through, including departmental interviews to see where you fit in to the right department. And so the interviews were detailed, and you didn't want to fail because, you know, it would have been a good job and you want to secure that job. And so sometimes you project the wrong image also because you wanted to get the job. And there was a fear that supposing I don't reach these standards or this level, these expectations of the company. And so I think that's where fear develops. Then, of course, you know, as we go into the world of work, then there is other responsibility. You may get married, the fear of the marriage working out, family life, fear of not having a good family life. And so it goes on and on until the point when you have to leave your body, as you mentioned. There is fear of death, there is fear of illnesses, you know, terminal illnesses, and not even terminal because, you know, terminal eventually will go. But illnesses where you can be incapacitated, not being able to do, that's one of my fear, not being able to do things for yourself because you want to be independent all your life until you leave this body. So how do we conquer those fears? How do we make those fears fearless? I've gone through most of them. What are your thoughts now? How do you think we can conquer these fears? What? Don't be afraid to say anything.
Om Shanti, brother Terry. I hope I haven't interjected anyone who would like to speak. But if we look at fear from infancy, you know, in our times, which is different to these times. Fear was instilled in us in a sort of an indoctrinated way. We were, as children, if we ran and we made noise, then you see a whip comes in front of you, and we get that fear from infancy that we, the body, we took ourselves as being bodies then, would have been harmed or hurt. And so we don't want to be hurt. And we start to get that indoctrination that fear is instilled on us from infancy. But overcoming fear is when we have faced very many situations which create fear, and then we start to get like, I would say, like when you get an adrenaline, you can face a situation without fear because it pumps up the body with the hormones and all that stuff. But the point is, the mind has to go through what it is to feel fear in order to conquer fear. If one has never had the fear of anything in particular, then they will find it difficult to overcome it. For instance, if I came home late from school, yes, I would get 6 lashes with a wild cane. Okay? After a while, it didn't bother me anymore. You can give me 24 lashes if I come home. I'll do the same thing the next day. Right? But I think the mind has to develop to such an extent that hurting the body doesn't worry me anymore. Right? Because that's the biggest fear of having the body being hurt, disabled, or whatever the case may be. But whenever we face fears that it doesn't bother us anymore whether we get crucified by it, once we're still alive, that's it. Om Shanti.
Thank you very much, Brother Terry. That part, it slipped me also, where fear is indoctrinated from childhood. And I'm glad that you raised that point because I also went through that. But it was a warning for me not to make the same mistake again. And I didn't want to touch on this, but there is also fear in terms of the laws and bylaws of a country. And the part of the fear I was going to talk about is autocratic society, where certain things are indoctrinated early in your life, and you
Just
have
laws.
fear of breaking the law. But it's not that you're breaking the law, but you have a lot of restriction, and so fear develops there also. You're saying something?
No,
Brother
brother,
Terry?
I just put a speaker off.
Oh, okay.
All I was saying, go ahead, brother. You go ahead.
Yeah, so that's the other aspect of fear in a society where we live in, besides the part of where you're pressured to perform, and you did mention about the ones at job place and tasks to be accomplished, and you have fear of management and managers coming down on you and not reaching deadlines. So many other aspects at workplace where being, I don't like to use the word punish, but it's a form of punishment when you can't fulfill certain obligation, and you can be suspended, your pay can be docked, things like that. And so there is fear developed there also. How do we go about to conquer those fear? But especially the one with society, which has certain laws like autocratic society and I like to say communism, where you're restricted to even the way you eat, the way you dress, the way you society, government, how you must live. That's a really big fear, because the minute you break those laws, you're thrown into jail, or you're jailed right? You're punished. You're saying something. You're about to say something. Right.
I was thinking to Brother Terry, is it that you become fearless because now you can take 24 lashes, or did you just numb yourself? Like, because your body is fight, freeze, and flight, right? So
Yeah.
are you fearless, or was that just your body's coping mechanism of dealing with the lashes? Because I grew up with licks, and I remember there was a point in time where it was like, okay, licks again. Easy. But I don't think that it was that you become fearless. It just, there's something else. I don't know if it's coping or whichever, but it's not that you've conquered that fear. Or you probably go through your life and then something triggers that, and then when you look back at it, it comes from those lovely little 24 lashes that you got.
Yeah.
You just deal with that situation now in a whole different way. Whether it's like conflict with your partner, and something happens drastic, and you just numb in terms of anything that causes you pain, like those 24 wild cane lashes. It shows up differently. It might not be when you
Actually
get
happened.
hit again,
Yeah.
but it shows up differently. And
Mhm.
and I wonder, like, is that you being fearless,
All
or
right. Could I come in there?
Yes.
Could I give
Yes.
you
Go
an
ahead.
example? I took lashes till my parents refused to beat me any longer because they get winded. You understand?
So that was a
Now,
method for them to
that
stop
was
beating
my
you.
method of conquering fear, to show that I am not scared of whatever they put out as punishment to me. Now, there were other experiences which I had encountered in life. I was working on a shrimping trawler, and one of the fellows fell overboard. And while we were throwing ropes to get him, the sharks ate him up. There was another time on the shrimping trawler, right, where the guy's hand got wounded up in the heister, and we had to cut him out piece by piece out of the heister and put him in a bag. Those are experiences that when you pass through things like this, it's you know that you don't get that feeling of being very scared or frightened, but you get to approach situations with more understanding and calm. Fear is when one is, I feel that fear is when one gets scared because of not understanding the, the event, the occasion, or the experience totally. If one has passed through many, many instances that we would have said to ourselves, that's a fearful experience. After a while, it just becomes like, well, it happens. So what? You know, these things happen and we treat it that way. But it depends on the experience that we are faced with that we felt fearful about. Because there are some experiences where one would run inside to avoid someone passing because they felt fearful of the individual, probably how he's dressed or how they perform their acts, right? And you don't want to encounter anything with a guy or the personality. So you run inside because of fear. Or rather than to avoid having any confrontation, you just step aside. Now, those things are probably methods that could be used to overcome fear. Another thing is that laws in the legal aspect are created to make people become indisciplined so that they can pay a fine. You understand? So when that person gets fine, yes, the physical starts to undergo a sort of experience of like being perspiring, nervousness, uh, not knowing what to do, and all that stuff, because that fear sends different emotions which the body absorbs and the mind gets disturbed because laws are created so that people could become indisciplined so they can pay a fine. You see? So those are different aspects where fear is not only what one experiences, but it's what is put out to create that type of experience. So when we feel through the body that it is undergoing or going through a process of sweatiness, breathing rapidly, probably getting fever, probably frozen, rigid, and all of that, is the different expressions of what we term in ourselves as fear that is experienced through the body. All it needs is to understand, how do I face with a situation, either with calm, confusion, or whatever the case may be. So it's definitely deeply to understand, how do I deal with any experience or situation that comes to me? Do I choose to be confused? Should I get nervous, or should I remain calm? So we have to deeply understand what fear does to the mind and the body, and the methods that we could approach or use to conquer fear is practice to be calm, practice to be cool, practice. It calls for practice. Practice being more or less, Baba uses the word and tells us about it, detached. We have to be detached. And once that practice is there, fear could easily be overcome. But it calls for practice. Om Shanti, brother.
Okay, thank you, Brother Terry. So we can also look at the more subtle aspects of fear when we are trying to sort of project a personality. We live in a society. If we don't live up to certain standards, we are considered an outsider. So with one set of people, this is the way I will behave. This is my attitude, my behavioral patterns. Not a bunch of people. This is how I'll behave. This is my behavioral pattern. This is my attitude. Well, what is the reason for that? You would be fearful, well, sort of have a fear of being rejected. Like I mentioned in the early childhood, when you have fear of not doing well, not being validated in terms of the company you keep. You might be somebody in a like an ordinary job and in an ordinary family, ordinary home, but you want to project yourself as someone of standard and, you know, of a higher level in society. So you try to associate yourself with that kind of people. There is a fear of rejection there, but these are the more subtle aspects. So fear extend beyond, that the actual physical fear, but even in our personalities, our projection, our perception, like you said also, fear of not accomplishing what you perceive is your role in this world. Or the other sister would have said self-actualization. Not everyone have that aim, but many people do have that aim of not reaching their self-actualization, their peak of performance. Their role in society should be that of the highest level. And as you grow older, if it's not reached or you don't have the feeling that you have not accomplished, there is a fear there. I just want you to look at these two things quickly, and then we can move on. We would have touched on it already. And so one of them is, what are your current issues? What is the soul issues, or what are your issues? And you can recognize them from your internal struggles, your conflicts, something that keeps reoccurring in your life. Can you identify them? What is preventing you from reaching your the mic? You can share also. We have to examine ourselves because these are the actual forms of fear. The,
I'm a procrastinator.
you're a
Procrastinator.
okay. Uh-huh.
So I may set out to do something, but I always put it off and probably till the last minute or just don't get to it at all.
Mhm.
So I
So-
think that's one of my biggest issues.
So that causes a conflict.
It does, yeah.
Mhm. Anyone else? Like, what is something that keeps recurring in your life that eventually would lead to some sort of fear, but you need to work on it to get rid of it? Mhm. Some issue, some internal struggle, because internal struggle has to deal with fear because you're not having a satisfaction, contentment, you're not having the virtues in your life, means that there is some conflict which would eventually be leading to fear. Or the second question was that, go ahead.
I was saying, being rebellious.
Being rebellious.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think it's linked to fear, and it's so maybe we can use the example of the corporal punishment so that your parents
yes,
can
definitely.
instill obedience. Because if we'll use the example that my brother Jerry was using. So I came home late from school, and that's the wrong thing to do. So my mother gave me 6 lashes. And so that was meant for me not to do it the next time. But then I do it again, and I get 6 other lashes, and I keep doing it. So it didn't work to create obedience, or even if I did, it would have been pseudo obedience. Wouldn't have been real obedience because I would have been, lashed into not coming home late from school. And the other side to it is that I continue to do it to show my mother that I will continue to do it, and the lashes don't mean anything. So that's the rebelliousness or being, that's the rebellion. So yeah, I do think that being rebellious is linked to fear. So that's sort of what I'm thinking about it.
To Brother Vicky, I like your thoughts. Let me try and put mine together right now. But without rebellion, would we ever be able to question the status quo? I feel like we need the rebels because in our society, like, Brother Mahendra was talking about the way the governments run. Majority of the society's government run based on fear, control the people based, if they're afraid of you, then they wouldn't, and it's the same with parents. They control children, instilling the fear in them, and then you rebel, right? I don't know. I don't know if I would say like it's fear, but more of gaining back some kind of control. Some,
So,
like in
how I'm thinking of it also is that you will rebel because you're afraid of being controlled. So that's how I'm linking the rebelliousness to fear, because it's all about not being controlled. It started from childhood or from infancy, how we were trying to make those connections. And so rebelliousness in society has happened, but it hasn't really solved anything. It might have shifted things to other directions and created more movements and created more groups and all these things. But what I've noticed, based on all the revolutions and rebellions, is that it doesn't really solve anything. And so I think this is why people have opted more now for dialogues, where you actually sit in and you're talking to each other for, to kind of a root cause analysis of what really the problem is. Because and it was mentioned, until we are able to identify, recognize, then we wouldn't be able to deal with what really is the cause of all these symptoms of fear, that we're talking about today. That's sort of how my thoughts are coming together.
Brother, could I make an input there? Terry, could I make an input there, brother?
Yes, but we don't
I
have
think
much
that when
time
we
more.
use the word rebellion, when we use the word being a rebel, society would say that's an outlaw. Okay? Together with it, what comes up from the personality is a sanskar of courage. That is, having the power to face and probably oppose when you're not fully compatible with what is required of you. I think an impression that comes up that people may term as being rebellious is that the power of courage, which is embedded in one. For instance, in a family of 5 children, one might be just having the courage to face and question things. But I don't think that is being rebellious, because the child may not go against the laws of the family structure, right? Now, society has used the term rebel to being outlawed, to being against the laws. But we have within us certain powers which we are not aware of yet, that we have the courage to even question and to face and to oppose. But as brothers rightly said, it has come the time now when they solve things by dialogue. But if there isn't that courage to question and oppose, then they would not have been able to accept that only dialogue could smooth the process out. I think that it depends on what is impressed in the soul and how, at what age and at what time certain sanskars or certain impressions start to play. Thank you, brother. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. We don't have much time more. Okay, go ahead.
But I was just thinking, the UN have dialogues all the time, and nothing was ever done. Right? I think maybe it needs a multidisciplinary approach where you have moral outrage, because if you want to go back to history, it took a quote unquote rebel to have a movement done. So you can't rule out the outrage of the people. It's what caused revolution. It wasn't peaceful talking that caused anything to move. So I think it's all of these things come together, because you hear people speak all the time. They have lovely dialogues, and you sit with all these big leaders in a big room, and across the world they're still bombing and nothing stops, you know? So we can do dialogue. But
Sorry, 30 seconds. So if we want a revolution to come, we also had Mahatma Gandhi, who did the
Yeah, peace.
impossible possible using the path of truth. Shanti.
So we have a special meditation from 7 to 7:30. So I'll just wrap up here. Okay. One of the things we need, what I would have wanted you to do is to really look at yourself and see what was your addictive patterns, your beliefs that are leading you away from a prosperous, peaceful, and happy life. And so the first step is to recognize what is causing the destructive pattern. The second step now is a validation pattern, a validation experiment, is to recognize yourself. All what we would have discussed here deals with in relationship to the body. But when we understand that we are spiritual beings and we become separate from the issues of the body, then we would learn to recognize that there is a solution to everything. There is a solution to being fearless and not being fearful. When we detach ourselves from the roles and responsibilities and the bodies and bodily relation. And so one of the first things to do is to have a validation of yourself. You have recognized your patterns that are causing the fear and so on. And return to the consciousness of who am I really? And of course, that validation is you have to tell yourself that I'm a being of peace. I'm a soul. I'm a peaceful soul. This is not my addictive pattern. This is not my self-destructive pattern. This is not my fearful pattern, but I'm a peaceful being. All what is happening around me is part of a drama, is part of a play, it's part of the world, and I do not have to be pulled into it. Learn to have that validation. The second aspect is to recognize it. Embrace that I actually have this fear. You recognize it, you embrace it, and then you let it go. And the only way actually to have that deep connection where you can let it go is to have a connection with the Supreme Soul. Let the Supreme Soul be responsible to help you to get rid of it. And then it becomes very easy. And that's why here, yes, sister, we go into meditation and we give all our issues or beliefs, everything that we would have that is pulling us away from the original nature of the soul, which is harmony, peace, love, bliss. And when we lose these qualities, that is when fear develops. But the minute we go back to these qualities, because these are our original qualities, all that fear will go. So we will now go into meditation, and this is
just one announcement.
Yes.
Thank you for a very engaging, interactive conversation. I think we really enjoyed that. This Saturday, 25th of July, we're going to have a workshop, Staying Balanced in Challenging Times. That's from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And everybody, it's in person only. It's going to be interactive with activities, reflection, conversation. So all are welcome. If you're coming, just RSVP or let us know. And now let's go into meditation, opening our hearts, connecting to the unlimited. and sharing the good wishes and pure feelings. Om Shanti. And we have many people joining us from the Caribbean and overseas. So thank you for connecting your hearts and souls for this beautiful cause. And really, we wish the good. Shanti.
Thank you, Sister Kinnari. And it's for those of you, for the tragedy that we are facing here right now with the MV Barima that went down in the Atlantic Ocean. We don't know how many lives were lost as yet. The information is not coming out. So far, we know that there are 10 souls who have left their bodies. And so let's go serve not only those who have left their body, but those souls. Many families are in distress, in pain, and sorrow. And let's send our good wishes and our love and pure feeling to those souls. Om Shanti and good evening.
I imagine myself in a place of natural beauty. My spirit resonates with the beauty around me and reminds me of my own beauty and gentleness. I feel the peace of this place, and my spirit basks in the simple beauty of this peace. I enjoy the silent space around me. and my mind rests peacefully in the silence. As my spirit becomes free from worldly connections, I open myself to the awareness of the divine. I connect with the divine in my own way. I am silent and still before God. I surrender my spirit to the divine. I let God love me. I absorb the eternal beauty and love of God within my heart. I am worthy of this love. God knows me. God understands me. And loves me with unconditional love. God looks upon me with love only. God knows the beginning, the middle, and the end of me. I accept God's divine love, and together we become love. I am a child of love. I belong to the divine. I rest in the stillness of God's love. And I am bathed in peace and loving acceptance. With this love, I experience pure contentment. I release the pain of unsatisfied desires and complicated relationships, and I surrender to the beauty of God's loving acceptance of me. Together, combined in love, we radiate love to the people in my life. I send out heartfelt feelings of loving acceptance and appreciation to my family, to my friends, to my colleagues, I reach out to their hearts with pure love. I send them God's gift of pure love and support. My heart is overflowing with love. In my mind, I see before me the globe of the world. I allow my heart and soul to become unlimited. And I tune into the state of my world. My world is crying out for peace. Especially the many souls who are enduring war or natural calamity. My world is desperate for joy. Especially those who are suffering from disease or emotional trauma. My world is crying out for love. Especially those who are experiencing loss, conflict, or loneliness. For so many, our world is no longer a place of peace and love. Our quality of life is diminished under the influence of inappropriate values and selfish actions. I look upon my world with mercy and compassion. And I create a pure wish for the world to be healed. With my strength of spirit, I send to the world the light and energy of peace. With my loving heart, I surround my world with loving feelings and good wishes. with the conviction of pure values, I create a sincere wish for us all to live and work together in a loving community, living in the highest spiritual values of respect and cooperation. With my generous heart and pure spirit, I unite with the divine presence and love of God. Together, we bless our world. I sense God's peace and love passing through me and caressing the world, nurturing every soul, so that they can restore their own purity, peace, and power. In my mind, I see a joyful world. A world full of peace and love. A world without sorrow, where there is only the exchange of love and respect. I believe in the possibility of such a world. Our world will once again shine with grace. I recognize that I play a part in bringing this world into being. I keep love and respect shining in my heart always. I keep peace and truth in my spirit forever.
The world feels heavy, full of pain, but light can fall like gentle rain. He came to guide us through the night, to help us shine, to make things right. Sprinkle the light, don't hold it in. Let love begin, let peace begin. One quiet thought, so soft, so bright, can change the dark and bring back light. Sit still inside, just hear him there. His silent touch is everywhere. No need to speak, no need to cry. Just feel his love and don't ask why. Sprinkle the light, let it flow. Where there is pain, let healing grow. Where hearts are lost, where hope feels small, just send your peace and give your all. This is our time, this is our part, to give the world a quiet heart. He walks with us, so soft, so bright. Let's hold his hand and sprinkle light.
Shanti, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for joining and sharing your thoughts of peace, comfort. We will be dedicating this whole week, 6:30 to 7:30 meditation for the tragedy which has happened in the country, and to give them support with our good wishes and purest feelings. Om Shanti, and have a beautiful night.
Om Shanti and good night to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good discussion.